Welcome to 19 Miles, the podcast dedicated to propelling you 19 miles forward. I'm Stellah, your host, and each week we deep dive into powerful stories, my unsolicited advice, and how you can overcome adversity and unlock your true potential. Hello, you guys. This feels so bizarre being back, and yeah, look, there's a few elephants in the room to address. First of all, the fact that I just fell off the face of the planet for the last few weeks. But before I start, I do want to give a quick trigger warning. So in this episode, I am going to discuss topics related to healing from abuse, personal trauma, and experiences in therapy. These stories include references to domestic violence, emotional abuse, and inner child work, which might be distressing for some listeners. So if you find these topics triggering, please consider whether listening is right for you at this time, and remember to prioritize your well-being and take breaks if needed, and just know that support is available for you if you need. Okay, I just want to give a quick little recap because we've missed a few chapters, and that is at nobody's fault than my own. I honestly don't even have there's lots of things that have been happening, but it's obviously not an excuse. I can't even say that I haven't had time because I don't believe in, I'm not going to justify or make any excuses for myself. I should have made time to record. And I guess at the end of the day, I was just feeling uninspired. And that this podcast comes from a very genuine and authentic place, and I never want to jump on here when I don't feel like it. But in saying that, I also need to make more of an effort to prioritize set recording times and put as much effort in this as I want. So with that said, here's what we've missed. So first of all, we had a girl, this is so random, she randomly messaged Big Daddy, and she was in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka had I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but a terrorist threat. So anyways, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't really know. But she essentially got this threat warning thing, and she messaged Big Daddy because she had a mutual friend with him. So one of his close friends from back home or school or whatever, her friend messaged Big Daddy anyways, and she was hey, I know this is really random, I'm a friend of blah blah blah. I was wondering if she explained the situation, and she was the only flights out of here are going into Dubai. Would your house essentially be able to be a stepping stone between her coming here and her next plan? And he, bless his soul, he was came to me didn't want me to worry or think that it was something that it wasn't. And so he was I don't know, what do you think? And I was oh my God, what do you mean? Of course she can come and stay here. She can sleep in this room that I'm recording in. And anyways, so she ended up coming and staying, which was actually so beautiful. She's just such a beautiful girl with such good energy. And I just think how random, first of all, that even happened. And also I'm so grateful that we have the capacity to host her and have her here. And as well, I made such a good friend out of that experience. So that was really random, but that was why I didn't record the first week. And then the second week, I went through a bit of an emotional, turbulent week. And I want to talk about it because it's something that, I always want to be really transparent with you guys and share with you guys what I'm doing and what I'm going through and things like that. And I've been working closely with my psychologist for a while now, actually going on 2 years, which is crazy. I did have a period there where I took a break, but it's almost 2 years we've been working together, and we're working through some really, really big stuff, and that is obviously going to bring up some things. But the biggest thing that we're working through right now is inner child work. So specifically surrounding all of the abuse and the domestic violence and the sexual assault that I experienced. So that is what I want to talk about this week, because I've been doing a lot of work surrounding this. I'm not sure if you've heard of EMDR, but that is predominantly what I've done to work through the PTSD that I was experiencing. I don't know if I've actually really touched on this very much, but I experienced a bit of had complex PTSD after my brother passed away, and the things that I saw and experienced as a result of that experience. And we did EMDR to kind of help me through the recovery of healing from the PTSD. And it got to a certain point where in the PTSD, you're essentially, through EMDR, you try to bring down the scale. So I think it's like a scale of 0 to 7 or 0 to 10 or something. Anyways, you're essentially trying to get the scale down from a 10, I think it is. And we couldn't get it down below an 8. And I was like, do you think this is like because of all the shit that I experienced as a kid? Like, I think that I'm so like honestly, like sometimes you know all the work that you need to do. Like, I am a mindset coach, as you guys know, and I know all the things that I need to do, but sometimes like I just need somebody to support and guide me and hold the space for me to work through these things. So like I knew everything that needed to be done, but I just needed somebody else to not necessarily hold my hand, but just provide the safety and the support and the guidance in navigating those things and making sure that I was like safe in doing that, because obviously I've never, guided myself through such like heavy and traumatic events to heal through and stuff like that. So whilst I have all the tools, I too need help and support, and, am going to invest everything that I have to do that. So yeah, I essentially went to her and I was like, I think that the reason that my PTSD scale is not going down is because of all these events that happened as a kid, and that formulating these really deep feelings that I'm feeling surrounding his passing, like guilt, shame, blame, these kind of things. And I was like, I think this is stemming from all the shit that I went through as a kid. And yeah, she was like, yes, as per, you were correct, Stellah, you hit the nail on the head. And so I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do the work, which is something that I've been avoiding my whole life. Like, I kind of had heard people say, oh, like, you don't have to talk about it to deal with it. Just like, if that's too hard. And you know what? Up until this point, it was too hard and it was too scary. And I made it out to be this big, big thing. But anyway, that's basically what I want to talk about in this week's episode. That was a very long intro. I want to go into a bit of an intimate look into my healing journey. And I guess for this episode to be a supportive guide to anybody, or for anybody that is on their own path of self-discovery, healing, growth, that kind of thing. And I just want you to know that healing is unique and deeply personal to whoever it is on that path. So no one's path is going to be exactly the same. And I hope that by me sharing these experiences that I can offer some sort of guidance or inspiration or motivation or whatever lands for you. The purpose of this week's episode is to share, my own insight from my own healing journey and to support and inspire you girls. And I guess just hold safety for you and show you that it is possible and what is possible. And yeah, I really want to emphasize again that this week's episode is a safe space. I really want it to be a safe space for, for me to be honest and for you to be honest with yourself and reflect and grow, and just know that healing is available to every single one of you if you choose to. Let's go into it. Why did I turn to therapy? So I've shared a bit with you guys about the things that I've been through and stuff like that. And I was very fortunate to grow up with, my mum very much encouraging therapy, and she, gave me countless opportunities to see a psychologist and to have that sort of like therapeutic support. But I guess I just kind of pushed it away for a very long time, and it was just, I chucked it in the too hard basket, and it was just too emotional. And I remember very vividly as a child like being carried into these psychologist sessions and stuff like that, because obviously my mum knew what had happened, and I just remember crying and being like, I just don't want to be here, like I don't want to talk about this, I can't deal with this is just too much. And I completely understand that, like being a very small child, seeing and experiencing the things, the abuse and the threats and the things that I'd experienced, I was petrified to talk to anybody. And for me, it was easier to pretend it didn't happen or drown out the memories or my mind than to actually look at it and deal with it. And I don't blame myself for that. I understand I did what I had to do to survive the things that I'd experienced. And it truly wasn't until my brother passed away that I realized, oh fuck, like I think I really need to deal with this and I'm ready to. And you know, I had floated the idea of, you know, starting to work through it. And I had kind of put out into the universe that I was trying to find somebody to help, you know, support me and guide me through that healing journey. But yeah, it wasn't until he passed away that I was like, okay, something's got to change. I got to fucking do something. And I really had to put my faith in the universe to put the right decision, the right person in front of me. I want to talk about my initial fears in going to therapy, because this is what held me back, and I'm pleasantly surprised. So I thought that I didn't have enough support around me, or I wasn't in a safe place, or what if I can't handle it? What if my mindset isn't strong enough? What if it brings up too much? What if I'm not strong enough? Like, all of these things were all the things that were going round and round and round in my mind. And first of all, my mindset is the first thing that I worked on in my healing journey. Or the most pivotal point in my healing journey. And I think truly that is what gave me the capacity and the strength to now work through the things that I'm working through. I would 100% recommend starting your journey in personal development and working on your mindset so that you have that emotional awareness and that resilience and the capacity to handle, I don't want to say more pain, but to navigate the things that are going to come up, because shit is going to come up, and you do have to be in a place where you can, well, I would strongly recommend being in a place where you can process that and shift through those emotions and have the emotional intelligence to not let that carry on into the rest of your life. Because at the end of the day, like, you do still want to have the capacity to work and to, you know, be present in your life and to experience things, and you don't want that grief, or you just want to be in a strong place to be able to not carry it, but like navigate it, if that makes sense. I would say that was, first of all, the most pivotal point in my healing journey was, you know, investing in my personal development. And I did that with a mindset coach. That kind of just like sparked my whole journey to discover like what my purpose was in this world. And I just like I quickly figured out in those moments that I was like, this is what I am meant to do. Like, I know this sounds so sappy, but I was like, I am destined to do this. This is what I'm meant to do. This is what I've been put on this planet to do, is to work on people's mindset. Because I've always been told from a very young age that I'm so optimistic, I have a good outlook on life. Like, I was always very positive and resilient, and people always said like, you're so strong, and I never really understood what that meant. I didn't really understand the concept of mindset or what it looked like to work on it. And whilst I had a really good mindset on my shoulders, there was still work to be done there and to be taken through, you know, exercises and shadow work and guided and supported through that journey to become the person that I am now. But I really realized in those moments, like, oh my God, like, I am so similar to this coach that is, you know, guiding me and working with me and supporting me and holding me through all this stuff. Why aren't I doing this? And, you know, I kind of looked into it more, and I continued to open the doors for that, and learning and investing in coaches and really widening my skills and my mindset to ultimately become an asset to then help other people, which is obviously what I do now. That was the most pivotal point. Also, like, other ways that you can invest in your personal development is books, podcasts, educating, just learning everything that you can, and learning as many tools as you can, like courses, stuff like that, letting go of relationships that no longer serve you, doing that inner child work, the shadow work. As I said before, EMDR, my psychologist, those things have all been really, really pivotal points in my healing journey. As well, get comfortable with being misunderstood. Get comfortable with being alone, because these things, when you can be comfortable with these things, you will be unbreakable. Like, your confidence and your self-worth will become unbreakable. I want to talk about exercises and like insights that really were impactful in my journey. So working on your self-worth and your self-belief. I didn't realize that I knew that I had a strong sense of self-worth, or I believed in myself, and I knew that to be true in like the relationships I was in and the people that I surrounded myself with and those kind of things. But I didn't know that to be true in terms of really believing in myself and my capabilities and my ability to succeed and have success and, you know, have a successful business and take the actions and all these things. So I really, really had to work on my self-worth and believing in myself. And I was saying this to a client earlier, but I want you to change the way that you think of self-worth and confidence. So think of self-worth as action and confidence as energy or aura. So in order to increase our self-worth, we have to take the actions. So investing in a coach, doing the work, like breaking down goals into actionable steps and doing those actions, that is what's going to increase your self-worth. How many times have you had like a to-do list and you had all these things to do and you've sat there and you've scrolled through TikTok all day and you've procrastinated? At the end of the day, you're like, fuck, I just feel so shit about myself. Because you didn't take any of the actions that you told yourself that you were going to take. Of course, that's going to make you look at your self-worth and think that you're not good enough. And then equally, when you wake up early, you do your morning routine, you have a really productive start to the day, your self-worth is suddenly up here because you took the action. Our actions very, very quickly impact our self-worth. So take the actions. I would say the most pivotal points in my self-worth have been the times where I've taken a huge bet on myself and I've invested massively into my personal development. So I remember countless times in my life where, I've had nothing to my name and I've spent all the money in my bank account on a coach or somebody with a skill set that I don't have, and I've invested everything I have into them to then broaden my skill set, broaden my knowledge, to learn, to grow. That is when my self-worth goes fucking plummeting up, and then that success and that self-worth is going to bleed into everything else that I do in my life. Okay, so other things or exercises or things that you can do that are going to impact your journey, or the things that have impacted my journey, is journaling. So having a safe place where you can really just understand yourself, you can dump it out, you can hold yourself in that space. Journaling is just forever been so pivotal in my life. As well, practicing self-love, raising your standards, only engaging in high frequency activities, self-awareness, emotional maturity. These are all things that are going to seriously impact your journey in healing. Okay, so let's talk about the power of support network. My support network, I feel very, very lucky in that, I've got a very good relationship with my family and I've got really supportive people in my life, but that hasn't always been the case. And I also want to put emphasis on, like, just because maybe you don't have a huge group of friends, it's really quality over quantity in terms of your support network. And I promise you, the people that seem like they have so many people in their life are actually the people that feel the most alone. Okay, it's better to have a couple of people that you can lean on as your support network than having 100. I promise you. So I think people often think that it's just their family or it's just their friends, but your psychologist, your coach, books, podcasts, me, these are all people that should be considered in your support network. Investing in courses. These are all things that are going to support you and ultimately make you grow. The next most important one is you. You are your biggest support network. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to have moments where you need support from other people, but pour everything that you can into getting yourself to a place where you love you unconditionally, where you genuinely want to be with yourself alone, where you genuinely want to hang out with yourself. Get yourself to a point where you love yourself sick. You are the person that you love the most in this world, because that is who is going to support you unconditionally. And I truly, truly mean this, girls. Everything that you could ever need, you already have within. And once you get yourself to a place where your mindset and yourself is driven by faith rather than fear, you will, I promise you, have the strength and the resilience to combat literally anything. Now, there's a fine line or a good balance to be had between, that self-reliance and seeking support. So as I said, it's so good to have a support network, but also seeking that within yourself. And this was the biggest thing that I went to my coach with last year is I said, I don't trust myself. I don't even know what my intuition sounds like anymore. And that was one of the biggest things that I worked on with her. And I'm so happy. You guys will have seen, I've got a tattoo on my arm that says, I trust her. And that was the point where I was like, I trust myself again. And it's crazy to see throughout my healing journey and working through all of the sexual assault and the domestic violence and stuff like that. I remember, and it really proved a point to myself in how much that I do have a strong intuition. I do trust myself, because I remember at such a young age having that gut feeling, my intuition screaming at me that I wasn't safe, something wasn't right. This was not, I knew the difference between right and wrong without somebody telling me. And it's crazy, like having that full circle moment where I'm like, oh my God, like I did trust myself. I did have a strong intuition. I just was exposed to so many people abusing that and trying to take that away. And, you know, it's not my fault that those things happen, but I can see that, yes, while I was repeated to these things of like ignoring my intuition, or, you know, that intuition being really like stamped on, the one thing that was persistent throughout all of that was my intuition. And I can choose to say that the one thing that was persistent throughout all of that was pain, but I choose not to give them the power, and that my intuition was the consistency throughout that. Now, I really want to say this, and I know that you know this, but please know that every single one of you is so worthy of healing. I don't care what your past is, you are always worthy. This was one of the biggest realizations I had in my last session with my psychologist, where we did EMDR and we were really going quite deep into the sexual assault and the things that I experienced as a kid. And, you know, I never understood forgiveness, and I just didn't understand like how or why anyone would be capable of forgiving a person capable of such cruel and fucked up things. I just want to say, like, if this is you and this is something that you also are struggling to understand or believe or navigate, unless you are conditional, forgiveness isn't either. And forgiveness isn't for the person who did you wrong. Forgiveness is for you. And it doesn't mean that you forget what happened or you justify or you dismiss the things that they did wrong. It just means that you free yourself from the heavy feelings that come with holding on to that pain and that hurt. Think of it more as a cleanse for your heart so that it can feel at peace again. And as a result of doing so much of this deep work with my psychologist, I've come to uncover so many of my belief systems and where so many things come from. And I'm like, oh my God, literally no wonder I don't believe in myself. No wonder I carry this shame and guilt, because I've been carrying this since the literal age of 5 years old. That's 20 years. 20 years of believing that things are my fault or that I'm not worthy of being safe and secure. And all this self-sabotage and all these things have come as a result of experiencing this abuse. And I just want you to know, like, you do not have to carry this. And I thought I held on to this being like such a big, scary, fucked up thing to navigate and heal from. And okay, don't get me wrong, it was an emotional and it's a lot. It is going to be hard to navigate, and there's going to be a lot that comes up throughout that. But truly, I feel like because I invested so much into building my mindset and becoming really resilient and emotionally aware, I had the capacity and the skills and the tools to then navigate these things and not take it on and carry it so heavily. I want to share with you like another story in doing this inner child work and the outcomes that you can have as a result of doing it. So one of my clients, she was struggling with people pleasing, and this is one of the number one things people actually come to me with in wanting help in navigating and putting an end to. And she'd, you know, take on other people's shit and actions as her own, and she'd take it personally, and she'd, you know, get really upset about it. And I was like, okay, there's definitely some inner child stuff. Like, I just know I'm able to this is kind of the shit end of doing all of the personal development things, is you can so quickly see within other people the things that they need to work on, but you obviously, like, until they come to you and they ask you and they're ready to have their problem solved, you can't just like, oh, you need to do this. I bet when you were 5 years old, something happened that resulted in this belief system. Anyways, she was obviously come to me very open and receptive to my advice and my input and my intake on, you know, her situation and stuff like that. And we delved into her inner child and we discovered where all of this come from. And it all came back to things that she'd experienced as a kid and repetitive manipulation and abuse and repetitive actions that had resulted in her, you know, constantly trying to people please and win people over by being good enough to them. And as soon as she addressed that inner child stuff, she realized, oh my God, like, I'm holding on to these beliefs that do not serve me in any way, shape or form and are not actually mine to carry. And I can let that go. And I give myself permission to feel that, recognize that, and let it go. And girls, when you choose you, when you invest in yourself and when you commit to yourself, that is when these shifts are made. And the beautiful thing about doing this work is that it impacts all areas of your life. So this girl experienced this shift in letting go of these beliefs, and then she's see that bleed into all other areas in her life. She's no longer going to be carrying that people pleasing in her workplace, and she's going to have better relationships with people at work. She's going to sell better at work. She's going to do her job better at work. She's going to attract people who, you know, actually respect her and see her for her and love her for her. And that is a result of doing the inner work. And I promise you that you do not have a procrastination problem. You have underlying fears and limiting beliefs, and that's what's holding you back. It's not that you're a procrastinator, it's that you're scared of the outcome. Your fears are there trying to protect your brain from what it fears. Your fears are your brain's protective mechanism from danger, from pain. So until you get to the bottom of what your fears and your limiting beliefs are, you are going to continue to self-sabotage and procrastinate, and you're going to recognize those things as that rather than the fears and the limiting beliefs that are actually underlying and holding you back. So that is why it's so important to do this work, because it impacts everything in your life. When you are backed by emotional intelligence and self-awareness, this work isn't necessarily a walk in the park, but I promise you it will transform your entire world. You just sometimes need the right support and the right guidance to get you there. So I want to delve a bit further into how I heal mindset work. Yes, it starts with the love and light work, but you're already doing it. You're doing it right now. And I know if you're a listener, which you are, if you're listening to this podcast, you are a listener, you are already at least halfway there. Okay, investing in your personal development, it starts with this. It starts with your environment. You are the product of your environment, and you, by listening to this episode, are choosing to control your environment and make your environment a better and more supportive and more productive environment for you and your personal development. And I want you to work on believing in yourself, at least enough to get the right support and the right guidance to heal, because you are so worthy of living a life free of your fears, free of procrastination, free of people pleasing, and repeating the same patterns over and over again. Now, the second thing that contributed massively to my healing journey is doing that inner child work. Inner child work serves as such a significant role in healing from trauma, building your self-love, and reshaping your self-worth. And truly, you have no idea until you start delving into it, the impact that it has had on you. It is literally crazy. It is mind-boggling. The next one is journal prompts and visualizations, and there's so many like great tools within this that will support you healing your inner child. And I want to take this opportunity to actually mention my program, Becoming Her, would actually be perfect for you if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I really want to go more into my personal development and work on my mindset and all of that. We dive into things like adopting the mindset of a high value woman, deepening your self-awareness, emotional awareness and regulation, standards, non-negotiables, emotional resilience, healing past patterns, all of these kind of things, like so much more, you guys. Like, it is such a jam-packed program, and I've essentially just taken like all of the most common things that I was teaching and incorporating for my clients, and I've just jam-packed that all together into 10, actually it's 12, secret, 2 bonus modules, 10 modules or 12 modules, essentially a roadmap or a blueprint for you to become her. So the program offers so many prompts, shadow work, we dive into a little bit of inner child stuff, visualizations to support you, and so much more. If you want more details, I'll leave all the details in the show notes below, so check those out. I am also going to extend the 50% off sale on that program. So that includes, I've never done this before, that includes upfront payments and also payment plans. So I'll leave it all in the description below, so make sure to check that out. If that's something that feels like it resonates with you or aligns with you, then I definitely would recommend that, because the shit in it fucking works. And honestly, if you're somebody that's been on the fence or not known whether to invest or not, like, this is such a honestly incredible opportunity to invest in your personal development, and as well, like, join a community of like-minded girls. We're actually still in the live round of that. We're doing live calls for each of the modules. It's 8 weeks long. We finish in the second week of January. So we're taking like a week or two off during Christmas and New Year's Eve and stuff like that, so that you can be present with your families and enjoy the festive season, that kind of thing. But essentially, if you join this live round, you will be a brand new woman come the first week of January. Like, it is crazy. It is the most perfectly timed program. I am just like so proud of. I want to remind you that your healing path is going to be unique to you, and building one that's personalized to you is going to be the one that works the best. So everyone's healing journey is going to be unique, and I want you to embrace the approach that resonates most with you. So whether that's therapy, journaling, meditation, coaching, courses, whatever feels like it resonates best with you, that is going to be the one that works. You know, like I've been to energy healing workshops with, you know, friends and stuff like that, and I fucking hated it. But just because I didn't like it doesn't mean that it didn't work for them. And it's just so important to lean into whatever resonates and feels best for you, because that's going to be what works the best for you. Methods that have worked for myself and that I use with my clients that have worked for them is, you know, practicing mindfulness, boundary setting, journaling, being guided through inner child healing sessions and shadow work and that sort of thing. And just doing the mindset work and adopting the principles and the frameworks to your mindset and just growing in that aspect. Another one to mention is deepening emotional resilience. So emotional resilience throughout your healing journey really needs to be prioritized, because you have to learn to regulate your emotions during challenging times. So there's a difference between, you know, giving yourself permission to feel the emotions and process them, and letting the emotions take over and just sabotage your whole life, because you don't want to get yourself in a position where that happens. I've watched over the course of the last 20 years my resilience become one of my greatest assets or my greatest strengths for both myself, but I've also watched this now with clients as I support and guide them in navigating their healing journey and navigating challenges and, you know, finding peace amidst that process. I want to share actually another client that I have. So she grew up with a single mum, and I just want to give a quick shout out to all the single mums. Like, I know that you're all out here doing your best. Actually, all mums in general, but seriously, the single mums, fuck me, you guys have got it rough. But I know that they're all doing your best, and it's just, honestly, it's inevitable that our parents will pass on some limiting belief in some way, shape or form. So this is no shade to, you know, any parent, but this client in particular grew up with, you know, her mum saying money's always tight, only lucky girls get rich, or lucky people that get rich, or rich people are never happy, that sort of thing. So these frequent reminders of, you know, her mum saying all these things left her with a really deep belief that people like her are not worthy of wealth, or they're not worthy of success. So what's the point? What's the point in even trying? That it just wouldn't happen to her. Girls, if you want wealth, you must think wealthy. We attract what we believe. So if you're constantly thinking, I can't have that, then the universe is going to continue to show you opportunities that further confirm this belief. Circling back to the client who was really struggling to, you know, invest in herself, she was operating through the lens of a lack mindset, and, you know, therefore the universe was providing evidence to support this mindset, and her beliefs were acting as a protective mechanism. Girls, if there is one thing that you remember in this episode, it is that fears and limiting beliefs are like a hidden devil, and they're disguised as a protective mechanism in your conscious mind. Your subconscious literally brainwashes you into thinking that these fears and beliefs are keeping you safe, when in reality, they're exactly what is self-sabotaging you. Your fears and your limiting beliefs will not prevent disappointment or pain. They are exactly what is holding you back, and what is exactly what's causing the damage. So when you take fear out of the driver's seat and you place it with faith and replace the limiting beliefs and with positive affirmations, your entire life will transform as a result. And I genuinely swear my entire life on this. Girls, I promise you, it does not matter where you have come from. It doesn't matter what age you're starting this journey, or even what it looks like at all. What matters is you build up enough self-worth and enough courage to start, because you are so worthy and you deserve to break free from the patterns and the self-sabotage that's holding you back. I know you, if you're listening to this podcast, then I know that you are worthy, but know that you are worthy of so much more, and that is okay. It is okay to seek more. It is okay to give yourself permission to seek and pursue a life greater than the one that is familiar to you right now. I want you to remember that growth sometimes feels like breaking point. It's just like the gym, truly. In the gym, it's going to hurt when you do those heavy squats, when you lift that new PB. It is going to hurt because that is your body growing and strengthening. It's the same in life. You know, growth is going to feel like breaking point and points as well. And I just want you to know that you are so strong and you are so capable, and you would not have the opportunity if you weren't ready. Now, I want to take this opportunity to encourage you to just reflect on your own healing journey. Take what has resonated with you in this episode and just feel free to leave what hasn't. I want you to know that you are so worthy of healing. You are so worthy of a great life and attracting everything that you possibly desire. Now, I'm going to assume if you're still listening to this episode, then it has deeply resonated with you or inspired you in some way, shape, or form. And I want to invite you to join the live round of Becoming Her. As I mentioned before, it's an 8-week course that is focusing on supporting and guiding you through a transformation to really break free from your patterns, ultimately kill your old self. Because as savage as it is, your new life is going to cost you your old one. So we're going to say goodbye to your old self and we're going to fucking dominate her. This course will be available to you literally whenever you feel drawn and ready to. But if you're somebody that's wanting to join that live round and be surrounded with like-minded girls and join a community of girls that are, you know, on a similar journey, then we're currently in that first week of the live calls. When you join, you do get lifetime access to the program, the content, and the worksheets that go with every single one of the modules. As I mentioned before, we are still in the first week of that live round. So I want to offer you guys an exclusive 50% off as being part of the podcast family, and I will leave all of the details in the show notes for you as well. If you're somebody who's like, nah, not really a self-paced kind of gal, or not really one that wants to join a community, I'd rather have just that one-to-one support, or you're unsure on whether the Becoming Her course or program is the right fit for you, feel free to just message me, reach out. We can open up a conversation about whether this is the right fit for you, whether I even have anything that I think can support you and guide you through whatever it is that you're wanting to work through or achieve. And yeah, we can open up a conversation on what is the right fit for you. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this week's episode. I know that it has been a deep one, an interesting one, and I'm so proud of you for tuning in and listening and choosing to, you know, prioritize yourself and your mindset and just ultimately become a better version of yourself. As always, I am so grateful to every single one of you who, you know, tunes in and listens. Don't forget to follow on whichever platform you are listening to, and make sure to leave a rating if you are enjoying these episodes. It really supports me in having these episodes pushed out to more of you guys. I love you so much, and I will see you in next week's episode. Bye.